Stockholm, Sweden is a powerhouse destination, but there's a bunch of stuff to know before your cruise ship docks here. In this video, we do a deep dive into the ports and transport options, as well as share how we chose to spend our time in a city that's almost too much to take in. I'm Troy, and this is the Port Lowdown. Stockholm is Sweden's capital, near the southwest coast. And what to do in Stockholm? Almost too much. Besides the famous Gamla Stan, the old town and the iconic skyline, there's upteen parks, museums, hip cafes and restaurants, and ferry rides along the Stockholm Stram, or the stream of Stockholm, fed by the Baltic Sea. But to say coast is a misnomer. It's more like 3 hours inland inside a maze-like archipelago of 24,000 islands and inlets. Historically a huge military and trading advantage. That's still true today, but many of the islands are now for summer cabins, fishing, and pleasure boats. You don't just sail into Stockholm. You slowly glide past wilderness to civilization, like a slow buildup in a movie or cruising those fjords of Norway. Except the landscape is more mellow and there's no small town at the end, but a massive city hiding behind low islands. Now, there are 6 potential places to dock here, and they're all scattered about. If you're lucky, you'll dock at Masthamnen or the adjacent Djurgården terminals, close to Gamla Stan, facing the Södermalm cliffside. Djurgården has an actual terminal building, while Masthamnen does not. Close and somewhat convenient. If you're rich, you dock at Skeppsbron, the terminal for the small, ultra-luxury brands. You directly face town center when you step off to the eastern stone quay of Gamla Stan. Nothing else comes closer to this level of convenience. If you're on a massive megaship, you might dock at Stockholm Cruise Center, Frihamnen, several miles northeast of city center. Totally industrial area, but with a great terminal. If you're here in peak season, you might get redirected to the Plan B overflow terminal, Värtahamnen, which is mostly for ferries. It's on the opposite side of the city. And finally, if you're unlucky, you go all the way south 60 kilometers to the STO cruise terminal in Nynäshamn. It's a 50-minute drive to town, so some cruisers opt to stay in the area, with flat seaside boardwalks, local fish smokehouses, and quiet coastal beaches. Now, we docked at Masthamnen, the in-town, bare-bones terminal, essentially a parking lot with a small visitor center surrounded by fencing. Tour buses are, naturally, front and center. The visitor center has a wall of maps and brochures. You can actually dig pretty deep into city info here. You got your Stockholm 101 of basic districts. There's also this cute souvenir shop with a nice wheelchair-friendly bathroom. First culture shock. I didn't know Pippi Longstocking was Swedish. Speaking of stepping out, you leave by following the green, red, and blue lines out of the lot and to the facing sidewalk. Now see the red line telling you to go left for these 2 ship options? It leads to the same physical dock just behind the ship here. And the 2 options are the more expensive Stroma Ho-Ho boat and the much cheaper MS Emily ferry. The Ho-Ho goes to a few more stops, but both go to primary hubs, while the other Ho-Ho stops are within 20 minutes of walking. We would prefer the Amelie, especially since kids under 13 ride for free, and you can bring strollers on the deck. Even a bike. Now turn right and follow to the other options. For the local 53 bus, the sign says 300 meters. What they don't tell you? It's uphill. Specifically this route, along the green line just before the security gates. It's not a long walk, about 10 minutes, but it is a pain. And uphill. Route 53 is the only one that takes you to the historic core, and it's clean, efficient, and cashless. You just tap your credit card or pay app. But it is time-consuming and draining of energy. Now our vote? Pass on public transportation unless you want the experience. Back to the path, past the security gate, you'll approach the parking lot for the Djurgården terminal, where the taxis will be waiting for you. Some are rogue operators who are notorious for aggressive hustling and overcharging. And this is the Ho-Ho bus meeting point as well. This area right by the cliff wall, by the way, seemed to be everybody's drop-off point. And these app, bike, and scooter rentals look tempting. But the city has very strict rules. No riding on sidewalks, so you're confined to bike lanes or in the streets. Plus, many areas of tourist interest restrict parking of these. So while it seems like a no-brainer to self-propel through Stockholm, it's actually more pain than pleasure. Walk further across the lot and past the cabs lingering about for a ride and face the front of the terminal building. Now, if you want a fair shake, we suggest making your own arrangements. For taxi, use the Taxi Stockholm app. You'll get an official licensed taxi, or use good old Uber or rideshare. Drivers are plentiful and service is fairly quick. It's best practice to find a spot in front of the terminal building away from the taxis. This one seemed to work just fine and provided a decent turnout. Your last option is your own 2 feet along the blue line to the city center of Gamla Stan. It's tempting for us active types, but it's actually a 3-kilometer, 43-minute hike and winding detours where the blue line sometimes disappears. If this is your first time here, that's certainly not the best way to start. All in all, here's our list of independent escape options from best to worst. Best, Uber or rideshare. Point to point, price up front, often price competitive with other options, and lots of drivers. Next best, the MS Ferry. Takes you across Stockholm Ström to 2 main points in town. Djurgården, ABBA, the ABBA Museums, and Nybroplan, city center and the food hall. Middle ground, official taxi, not the rogues. Use the app. Professional, but pricier. And last, public transport. It's world-class and it's great for locals. But in our opinion, it's too much hassle for cruise tourists on limited time. So, what to do? Stockholm is a densely packed, bustling place loaded with attractions to last a week of exploring, but somehow manages a relaxed pace despite the crowds. So, we focused. Our main focus was the Djurgården district, with its museums and parks, both edifying and amusing. It's jam-packed. There's museums for kids, for Vikings, even for booze. And of course that famous Vasa warship, the world's best preserved 17th century ship. So our Uber dropped us near there. But we got sidetracked. What was this place? A palace? Actually, it's the country's largest museum of cultural history, the Nordiska Museet. The huge open nave inside looks almost empty until you start probing into the exhibition spaces, like this exhibit on the icy north. But the highlight here is the upstairs permanent Nordic life exhibit examining 500 years of Nordic life from the 1500s to today. The designers made this immersive, beautiful, and extremely engaging. They want you to experience history, such as this interactive game where you pick a historic character and live their life through an old town. But the stars here are the numerous video displays with reenactments of historical letters, brought to life with professional actors and foreign film quality production. And it's deep, taking well over an hour and a half just for the exhibit. Even the most casual visitor will learn a lot more than expected. And their infrastructure is super thoughtful, not just great bathrooms, but lockers and folding stools to carry along. Honestly, this was one of the best museums I've seen in Europe so far. Overall, this place can take up a good 2 to 3 hours if you take your time. So while we missed the Vasa, we got just about everything else. Not too far up the road is perhaps the city's most popular attraction, and you'll need prepaid tickets ahead of time. The ABBA Museum. Sweden's most popular export gets the full immersive treatment. Their motto? Walk in, dance out. Special note, I wasn't allowed to shoot much video, but got lots of pictures. And no, I couldn't use their music for the video either. Dang copyright laws. Anyway, you don't just look at displays, you bathe in all things ABBA. Even the bathrooms. The history, the outfits, the career details, and interactive games. Test your sound mixing skills with the original album's mixer, be a backup singer in the studio, even perform with their holograms. Tons of stuff is crammed into the winding basement exhibition space, so crowds can get a bit intense. May we suggest doing this early? The most moving part for me was a small section for fan-created gifts to the band over the years. Expect a good 2 hours here. This district involved lots of walking, but sometimes it helps to have some digital backup while on the road. So we created our essential port guide PDF, a specially designed at-a-glance document detailing stuff like walking conditions, bathrooms, and ATMs on our color-coded map. And we threw in our curated, pinned Google Map sheet for quick walking directions and suggested attractions. If you want to give this a spin, see our link in the description or visit our store at portlowdown.com. Now, of course, we had to feature some food here, but Sweden is expensive, and frankly, we got a little gun-shy. But not too far from ABBA, we did find something to share with y'all.
Oh, guess what? Your wish come true? Let's try the Djurgården world-famous hot dog. So, I decided to try the one with shrimp salad and ketchup and mustard. 50 Swedish kron, which is about $5 US. I think a small shrimp. It's probably bay shrimp. Maybe pickle. And the other traditional way is they love the fried onion. The mustard also tastes very good. This is one of the cheapest and local delicacies. Also try to get the ice cream. Wild European blueberry, and we got the sprinkle, which is say salt licorice. Never heard that one. It's very nice licorice actually. And I don't like licorice, but it's so nice with this. The berry side of it has like a sweeter undertone. Try the licorice. It's really good.
Right next door is the city's major park, Skansen, the world's oldest open-air museum, founded in 1891. But not just a massive open-air museum of historic Swedish life, all authentic, but a mini zoo, amusement center, even an aquarium. It's on a hill, but you have the option of this funicular for an additional fee. The buildings were dismantled from all over Sweden and painstakingly assembled on site, representing the 14th century onwards. Plus, some of the houses had a few surprises inside. I'm 5'9", by the way. It's popular with local families, and it often sees public festivals, markets, fairs, and concerts. 2 hours is the usual time here, and the crowds are not too intense given the size. Plus, that view is awesome. Speaking of which, you look down on the other essential part of town, Gamla Stan, the Old Town, home of the Royal Palace and the city's most iconic skyline. And it's tourist-packed, lined with cafes, stores, and restaurants. It's also one of the largest and best preserved medieval city centers in Europe, so it's pretty essential for a first-time visitor. Cobblestones, but mostly flat with a few inclines. Hey! And the occasional newlyweds on their way to a photo shoot. The Royal Palace is of course a standard stop which you can look at from the outside. It's especially nice in the late afternoon light. And at the Stortorget Square is the Nobel Prize Museum, a single-floor exhibition space detailing the history of the prize and the recipients who changed the world. Moving and interactive, it's well worth an hour. Some of the most moving displays were the personal affects of some of the recipients, like Mikhail Gorbachev's cane. These winners were not superhuman, just human. Stockholm is one of those cities that demand multiple visits. Best not to try too much. Let the city's measured pace help you to savor the moments, like the locals do. If you got good value from this video, you know what to do. Like and share with your shipmates. We love all your comments too. Seriously, we check them quite often and try to answer as many as we can. See you on the next cruise.